The best way to get rid of that pain is by pushing. Does that make sense? Don't panic.
We need to talk about influencer Dani Austin's mega viral birth video. So far, it has over 45 million views across platforms. That's not just a random mom sharing a vulnerable birth story. And I know because I shared my birth story and it has less than 500 views. Granted, she does have millions of followers, but how I view it is a businesswoman sharing her birth story to her audience to get more eyeballs on her content and her business. The moms of social media lost their minds a couple weeks ago after popular birth educators like Fierce Lizzie of the Unmedicated Girlies podcast commented on Dani's birth as it relates to current hospital birth culture. She made this shocking statement that most women go into birth underprepared and then offered to give some free coaching on her podcast. That post got 500 comments, with some moms curious about what advice she was going to give on the podcast and other women upset that she dare comment on Dani's birth. As we get into our pop culture commentary today, we're going to look at some current research evidence on pushing in labor and labor positions that can not only help you avoid a cesarean, but decrease your risk of tearing and create a more positive birth experience overall. Hi, I'm Hannah Rose, the Radically Honest Mom, and this is my ongoing series, Birth News, where I comment on and critique social narratives of birth as it's portrayed across media and pop culture. I'm a mother of 3, a birth educator, doula. If you find this content helpful, please support the channel by subscribing, liking, sharing, or commenting. Check the description for links to everything I mention throughout the episode. Before we get back into Fierce Lizzie and her response to Dani's birth, let's look at Dani's birth. Okay, Dani's part 1.
Hold my hand. It's okay. Anne is running in.
You can. Shake that doubt out.
Am I like transitioning? Why is this turning
Yes.
bad?
God gives you all these breaks.
I feel like I'm gonna die. Jordan, hold my hand.
Okay, I got you.
I'm gonna throw up, I think.
This is where your mind is telling you.
Yes,
You can't do
you
this.
got it. You got it.
Yeah.
I was so worried you were going to leave town.
Yeah.
Okay, no jokes. No jokes. Yeah? Let's get them out.
Let's do it.
I have a contraction coming.
Yeah.
And hold my hand.
I got you, babe.
I wanna push the baby out.
Yeah, good. That's a good sign. She's complete.
Okay.
Okay, what does that mean?
That
Can I
means
push?
you're completely dilated and you're gonna have your baby.
The backstory that she shares in the captions on her first video, part 1, is that when she got to the hospital, her husband was filling out some paperwork and they got separated. So she's in a wheelchair, the nurses were pushing her and they took her to triage instead of labor and delivery like she was asking. This is where, it could be a little bit better of an experience because she's in what looks like transition and going into the pushing phase, and she is separated from her husband. Her doula's not there yet, so she's completely alone in triage. It's hospital policy and routine for most laboring women to go to triage first. However, there are exceptions to that rule. Given that this is her 4th birth, her 2nd unmedicated birth, she has a history of going into labor at 38 weeks. She already had 2 membrane sweeps at least. That's an induction method, so you're going to go into labor faster, which is what was going on with her birth. So what Dani said in her caption, as she ended up, quote, in triage alone, they made me lay on a bed and, quote, checked me. I understand it's, quote, protocol, but I started crying because I felt so alone. This whole situation did not set her up for a great beginning to her hospital experience. Then the providers got into the comments. As an OBGYN resident doctor, it genuinely infuriates me when protocol doesn't align with clinical judgment. Anyone with clinical experience can tell you you're painfully contracting and well into active labor and would know to expedite things. And then as a labor and delivery nurse, I hate this. If a mom rolls into the unit who's had previous unmedicated births telling me she's in labor and transitioning, she's going straight to a labor room. Critical thinking, critical judgment, and listening to what your patient is saying should always take priority. I'm sorry this happened to you. So what I would say here is, number 1, do not get separated from your partner. Make a plan. I know it can be kind of chaotic when you're getting to the hospital. Tell your partner how important this is. Like if someone's telling you guys to fill out paperwork, feel like you need to go park your car or something, like think about these things beforehand. You can tell people respectfully, F off. This is like the most important day of your life, and women should not be left alone for any amount of time. If you are in contact with your doctor, ask them to put orders in that you can skip triage. Policies are not laws. Routine vaginal exams, or cervical checks as they are sometimes called, to get admitted into the hospital, you can decline those. You can decline any of these exams. Essentially, people are putting their fingers inside of you, and if you do not consent to that, you do not consent. They might not admit you, even though there are other ways that they can measure how far along in labor you are, such as timing your contraction pattern. So they might not admit you, and you might end up having your baby in the front of the hospital or a hallway or in your car. But if it were me, I would rather be doing that than having people stick their fingers inside of me, and I don't want that. One of the women commented, "This seriously infuriates me that they had to check you. Absolutely ridiculous." So in part 1, she stated that she was waiting for the doctor to arrive so she could push. Her doctor finally gets there and gives her another vaginal exam and says, "You're complete." She then asks, "What does that mean? Can I push?" So you're complete means you're 10 centimeters dilated. Your cervix is out of the way.
3.
Good.
You're never going to get to do this again.
Okay, go.
2.
Yes.
3. 4.
It hurts my hip.
Okay.
Let's get on all fours. A little bit
My
of time.
fault.
No, you're doing great, baby girl.
Get out of that mind.
Can't push
You got
right
it. You
now.
got it. Yes, you can. Push.
I think I'm having a contraction.
Okay, there you go.
9, 10, release. Release.
The best way to get rid of that pain is by pushing. Does that make sense?
Don't panic.
I need to get the epidural.
The baby's right there.
Too late. You won't be able to sit still for you.
They proceed to do coached pushing, or purple pushing, which is where they tell you to push as hard as you can. They count down from 10, and you're essentially holding your breath as you kind of grit your teeth.
2.
Yes.
3. 4.
Is coached purple pushing evidence-based? I think not. It can cause fetal oxygen deprivation, and it can cause maternal pelvic floor damage. Can I just say, whoever is saying repeatedly, "Don't panic" in the background,
Don't panic.
do not go to a birth and yell, "Don't panic." That is not what women need to hear. Now, I'm not saying that Dani wasn't prepared enough or that she didn't do birth right, but what I teach is, and that women can be and should be leading their birth experience. It's 2026. Can we please stop asking permission to do everything in labor? Can I eat? Can I move? Can I change positions? Can I push? Can I breathe? If a woman is feeling the urge to push, she should be pushing, not waiting for permission to push, not waiting for her doctor to get there. This is just what I would do. I'm not giving a recommendation to anyone. This is what I would do. And this is what I have learned about the physiology of birth throughout the last 10 years of studying it extensively. Now, some women have stated that they never felt the urge to push. A lot of the reason for that is when women get to 10 centimeters dilated, they are always told, "Okay, start pushing now." They're basically told they have to push now, even if their body is not ready to push yet. And there was an interesting study published last year out of France that looked at this practice. And what they do is, once a woman gets to 10 centimeters dilated, they wait for her to have the urge to push, and they wait for the baby to be in a low enough station. And they gave 3 hours of time after dilation. Once the woman was feeling the urge, the baby was low enough in the pelvis, and she began pushing. The pushing phase lasted less than 15 minutes. That is incredible, okay? And not only that, it showed high rates of spontaneous vaginal birth and the reduced risk of instrumental delivery, which, if you don't know, when they are using instruments, forceps, vacuums to help remove the baby, that increases your risk of tearing. Okay, so she gets on hands and knees at one point. The doctor comes up right here. This part, and you can see her husband's face. The doctor comes up to her and tells her the best way to end the pain is to push. Does that make sense? Okay. Can we please talk to women with a little bit more respect? Actually, there are other ways to reduce pain, and I'm so glad that she was pushing on hands and knees, because that has been shown in research to reduce pain and reduce complications in labor. Other ways to reduce the pain are going to be, in general, to surrender to the contractions. Try to relax the tension that is going on, because that will equal less pain. Breathe and be in a place where you feel safe to be loud, safe to ask for help, and a place where you're spoken to with respect. It was great that she was on her hands and knees, and she had said previously that she really wanted to try to push or labor standing up, but in the moment she felt like she was going to pass out, so that wasn't something that she could do. And you actually hear in the video, the doula says, let's try hands and knees.
Let's get on all fours.
That's great that she had someone advocating there for her, and because she said, this is hurting my hip.
It hurts my hip.
Okay.
Unfortunately, she ended up back on her back, which is where 90% of women end up giving birth in the US and in other countries, even though research evidence has proven time and time again that upright birthing positions are less painful and they have better outcomes for vaginal birth. Evidence-Based Birth has a great handout and research on birthing positions. According to their handout, which I'll link in the description, quote, upright birthing positions work with gravity and helps open the pelvis. It provides more oxygen to the baby because you're not compressing the body's main blood vessel. Upright birthing positions can lead to lower pain levels, lower rates of emergency cesarean, and more positive birth in general. Upright birthing positions are associated with less likely to have forceps or instruments used in your delivery, which is going to lead to less severe tearing, and shorter time overall in pushing phase. Another thing that they state in their handout, which was incredible, is that a computer simulation of the birthing process found that when the tailbone is allowed to be free, it can move nearly 16 degrees. That makes more room for the baby to navigate the pelvis. But when a woman is laying on her back or even semi-sitting, which is what Dani was in, it restricts the movement of the tailbone down to 4 degrees. So 16 degrees versus 4 degrees.
The problem is if we put your pelvis on its back on a bed, what we've done is restricted that space, that extra space. We know when women stand or are in an upright position for birth, when we put the pelvis in this position and lean in slightly forward, we gain 28% of space within this part of our pelvis.
So what ends up happening a lot of times is, and this happened to me with my midwives, I got on my hands and knees, did one contraction, and then the doctor or midwife says, okay, we tried it your way, let's go back to my way. And that's just really how it tends to unfold. So know that you have rights and that you can choose the position that you labor in, and you can choose the position you give birth in. And your provider is just going to have to work around what is feeling good for you. All right, back to Fierce Lizzie. Did she say that Dani specifically was underprepared or that she did birth wrong? No, she didn't. She said that most women go into birth underprepared, and that unmedicated birth looks many different ways and does not have to look the way that Dani's birth looked, and that there are many ways that we can prepare or tools in order to help us cope with unmedicated labor. This birth video is so viral that it set off another trend of women essentially using the hook, if Dani Austin's birth scared you, look at what my unmedicated birth looks like. Now, there's another birth educator, Pop That Mama, and she jumped into the fray defending Dani's birth, saying, we shouldn't be comparing births, ladies. Well, I agree with that sentiment. At the same time, I don't think that it was a comparison of slow, quiet, peaceful birth is better than a loud, chaotic, raw birth. It's just that birth exists on a spectrum, and if 45 million people are viewing this birth and thinking, wow, that's just what birth looks like, that's just what birth is, all the first-time moms, what are they thinking? They're thinking that this is normal, okay? And this does not have to be what birth is. I want to make it really clear that there's nothing wrong with a loud birth. I'm loud when I give birth. I've had 3 babies at home unmedicated. What I will say is that there is a difference between high-pitched panic loud and a low gruntal grounded loud. The high-pitched kind of loud that Dani's birth was vibing equals tension. tension in the jaw, tension in the shoulders, tension in the pelvis. So tension equals pain, and pain equals fear. And fear equals tension, and tension equals more pain. It's a cycle. Again, why is it so important to talk about birth? Dani's video, one of them alone had over 9,000 comments. That is mind-boggling, okay? Women have a lot to say about birth. I just kind of looked at the ones up at the top. As a mama, we know our bodies best. You are a rock star, girlfriend. Another mom, this is why I do this at home. Someone else said, I say this with love, but drugs are your friend. Why do women do this? Voluntarily suffer? Someone else said, what trophy did you get besides the baby? Another woman said, hospitals wreck physiologic birth. That car ride is your first intervention. Another mom said, I had a similar experience with protocol, and that's why I had a home birth with my last baby. It was honestly euphoric compared to my hospital births. Lizzie's comments, one woman said, guys, Dani did not want her birth to go like this. All the woman is saying is that you don't have to either. Another mom said, honestly, why even mention Dani at all? Keep your plan your plan. She vulnerably shared hers just the way she wanted. This doesn't give I'm a girl's girl vibe at all. It feels like I'm better than you, and that's exactly what's wrong with the world. I don't think Dani shared her story to scare anyone. It is scary to a first-time mom who sees a 45 million viewed birth video and thinks that that's just what birth is and that's what she has to expect. And I did see a comment under Dani's video of a first-time mom. Okay, after seeing this, I'm going straight for the epidural. And that's fine if that's your choice. I am not here to say that epidurals are bad, but what I am here to say is that there are many women that desire unmedicated physiologic birth, and that there are people out there, such as myself, that are here to support that. We are here to teach and guide women and how to achieve that, because it's not natural inside of a hospital. It's not normal. Hospital birth does not support physiology. Hospital birth supports routine and policy. Their concern is liability and the bottom line.
So let me tell you guys why I did an unmedicated birth. I had 4 babies, and out of the 4, I've had 2 unmedicated. Let me tell you why. First 2, I had the worst postpartum depression, and I'm saying like for 3 or 4 months, sleeping 12 hours a night, worst migraines, would just like lay in bed and think about death. Like it was really dark and horrible. So I was just kind of desperate on my 3rd. I don't know if it was like physical, mental, spiritual, I don't know what it was, but I had the best postpartum experience after my first unmedicated birth. I didn't do like any prep for either one of them. I did have a doula, she's amazing. I just decided if, like, you know, if I have to suffer for like 3 or 4 hours so that I don't have to suffer for like 3 or 4 months, I'm gonna do it. And I think whenever I do it, I feel empowered, and then I feel like I can take postpartum like by the balls. A little encouragement for any other moms out there that want to do unmedicated. You definitely can do it. I can do it. You guys can do it. And I did want to encourage you guys, and sorry if my video freaked you out. I really didn't think it was gonna be seen by so many people. But here we are.
Dani is the CEO of Divi Growth Care, a brand that supports natural hair growth. Hello. I'm so glad she posted her video and that it went viral, because now I know about Divi, which I am postpartum with my 3rd baby, and I also struggle with hair loss. So I could definitely benefit from what Dani is bringing to the world. And by her sharing her life and her content, now I know about her business. So thank you, Dani, for sharing your birth. Let me know what you think about in the comments, and let me know of other pop culture and media moments that we should talk about here on Birth News with me, the Radically Honest Mom. See you next time.